Hi, the CyberKnife is a tool that will allow us men to defeat prostate cancer without surgery. No pain, no surgery, and no damage to your male functionality. The CyberKnife cured my prostate cancer in 2007. And I encourage all men to fight like Spartans. Spartans have a saying, no surrender, no retreat. A Spartan never surrenders, a Spartan does not retreat. Now you notice the color of this ribbon is the crimson color of a Spartan. If you're familiar with the crimson color of a Spartan, you may have seen the movie 300. I would challenge everyone, man, woman, or child, doesn't matter, to wear the crimson color of a Spartan to show their awareness of the CyberKnife. Now, the CyberKnife can and does cure prostate cancer. It cured my cancer in 2007 without surgery. I had to go through 45 minutes of treatment for 5 days in a row on my way to work on a given day, on a given week. And it was absolutely painless, and it caused zero interruption between the relationship between my wife and I. So the CyberKnife, to sum it up in a nutshell, the CyberKnife is an absolutely glorious tool that can cure and defeat prostate cancer without pain, without surgery, without side effects. And if you go to cyberknife.com and use the search feature in their website, it will allow you to enter in your zip code, and based on your zip code, it will tell you the hospital that has a CyberKnife facility that is closest to you.
My name is Peter. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in January of 2009. For those of you that have been recently diagnosed with prostate cancer, you know that the numbers mean a lot. And in my case, I was diagnosed with a stage T1C cancer. My Gleason score was a 6, and my PSA was a 4.2. I think everyone knows that there's been some controversy around the accuracy of PSA testing, but in my case, it clearly was accurate and diagnosed the presence of cancer. Getting a cancer diagnosis is obviously a pretty traumatic thing to go through. I remember when I actually was getting the information from my urologist, and I heard those fateful words, "Yes, we found the presence of cancer," after my biopsy. It was kind of surreal. I interviewed probably 30 people around the country to get an understanding of what I was up against. And some people I talked to had radical prostatectomies and were rendered impotent and incontinent. Some people had gone through proton beam therapy, which required having to relocate for up to 8 or 9 weeks at a time. One of my colleagues, I do a little baseball umpiring, and he happens to be an external beam radiation oncologist. And I went to see him for a second opinion and looked at that option, and that was another 9-week daily routine. I never entertained surgery. Surgery was an absolute last resort. It all came down to having to decide, what's the most practical thing for me, what's the least invasive, and then I happened to get, through my readings, educated about CyberKnife. And that really became a real eye-opener. I'm a very kind of reason, logic-driven person, and when I heard about the fact that the treatment could be collapsed down into a 4-day period, that it was non-invasive, that it had a linear tracking system that took into consideration the fact that the prostate moves during treatment, this all resonated with me. I think the most terrifying thing about being a man diagnosed with prostate cancer, particularly for me at the age of 55, which is very young, are the issues of incontinence and erectile dysfunction and impotence. And fortunately, I'm happy to say that in the aftermath of the treatment, I still have my potency, I'm not incontinent, and my numbers have gone from 4.2 down to 1.6. I'm at the 9-month mark right now, and so far things are tracked really well. The most important thing you can do for yourself is to get educated. Educate yourself to a point where you're as conversant on the topic as the people treating you. And there is no one right answer. Ultimately, it's going to be a very deeply personal decision you're going to make, but do it from a position of strength by being informed, by being educated. Do not necessarily take one practitioner's point of view, because in some respects, they are selling their craft. And you need to ultimately arrive at what is the best course of action for you, based on your diagnosis, the stage of cancer you have, and take your time. Don't rush into something. Don't hit the panic button. You have time to make an informed decision. I'm self-employed. I work in marketing communications, and it's a very demanding business. You cannot step away from a client base for that long without losing the client, quite frankly. And so that was a factor. It wasn't, the sole factor, but it was an important factor. On Christmas night, 2008, I proposed to my now wife, and 5 weeks later, I got the cancer diagnosis, which immediately challenged our relationship, and it was really a tough situation to have to go through. And fortunately, my wife, who stuck with me throughout the entire process, was as educated on this illness as I am, really worked with me in conjunction to arrive at a decision that was best for us. Hopefully your viewership is not faint of heart, but in the spirit of my wife, on the second day of my treatment, she said, let's see if the CyberKnife is having any impact. And we made love on the second day of my treatment. And what was that a reaffirming day? It really was. For 4 straight days, I went in, I laid down and listened to my iPod. I got caught up on my music library. It was kind of relaxing by the 3rd day. After the 3rd treatment, I did have some difficulty with urination. And I was given Flomax as a option, and I never did end up taking the Flomax. I ended up resolving the situation on my own, and I've never had an issue since. I had my treatment at UCSF. I was treated by Dr. Alex Gottschalk, and the staff there was really warm. It was fascinating, actually. I work in technology, so I'm really appreciative of technical gadgetry, and this was an amazing piece of machinery. You have to bring a sense of humor to life. Life, what is the philosophy? Life is fatal disease. It's a very existential comment. But it was true that you need to live your life and make every day count, and that this is not a death sentence. It is, part and parcel of living. And what's the most intelligent course of action you can take to get through this? And I feel like I've made absolutely the right call here.